welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Jim Crawford, who is with the Old Saybrook Westbrook Exchange Club.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Hey, buddy, how are you? Good to see you.
Well.
It's been a while.
It has.
What's new?
Well,
there's a lot new.
We have our annual road race that we've now had. This will be the 13th year. Saybrook Point 5K. We co-sponsor it with the Old Saybrook Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, and it's proved to be a terrific partnership.
Right.
And it kicks off on August 27th at 8:30 at the park, Fort Monument Park in Saybrook Fort Monument. And so far we've got about 50 folks registered, and that's pretty well ahead of what we normally do this far out. And it's a terrific race. It's people are always thrilled with the course. Is over a beautiful section of Saybrook. They run up College Street and then go around North Cove.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of nice laps in there. And on a beautiful morning in August, it's always a treat. And,
absolutely.
Folks come back year after year. We've had tremendous repeat runners who are thrilled to put it on their calendar as soon as we announce it.
Absolutely.
And we decided it's a good idea to stick to a date.
Yes.
So we do the fourth Saturday in August.
Right.
Happens to coincide with the Westbrook Muster, but there's not a conflict there because the race is really pretty much done by 10 o'clock in the morning.
As we both know.
As we both know. So, then we can feel free to help with the setup and the delivery of the refreshments for the folks that participate.
Absolutely.
And we have generous contributions from multiple sponsors in the community who are really terrific supporters for the cause. It's a fundraiser for both organizations, scholarship funds. The Wilfred Hunter Scholarship Fund for Old Saybrook Chamber has been around for quite a while, and they take their portion of the proceeds and fund their scholarship. And then for the Exchange Club, we fund two scholarships, one for a Westbrook High School student and one for Old Saybrook High School.
Nice.
And I'd like to take a minute to just talk a little bit about that scholarship program.
Yeah.
It's kind of unique. It's called the ACE Award, and ACE stands for Accepting the Challenge of Excellence. And what we do is each year we ask the school communities to select a student who's overcome either an emotional, social, or physical barrier to being able to graduate. Some of the stories are just incredibly stirring in the determination on the part of these kids to make sure that they complete their graduation requirements on time with their peers. We've had everything from kids who have been involved in car accidents and have severe injuries from that, or they've had birth defects they've had to overcome. They've had familial situations where there have been marital breakups, and kids have in many cases become the anchor in their family. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to recognize students in both schools who have worked really hard to make sure that they're ready to go and take the next step. And we recognize them. In many cases, they're kids who would not necessarily be honored in a traditional ceremony on senior night because they may not necessarily be the kid with the highest average or the kid who excelled in a particular subject or activity, but their contribution and their efforts are really role models for their peers. So it's a very rewarding night for us every year in June when we host those kids and their families and the administrators and teachers at the school who join us to take pride in their accomplishments. So that's what we spend our money on, and we're you know, we're totally dependent actually on how well we do with the race. So
Really?
the better we do with the race, the more we're able to provide for those students. And we're also proud of the fact that the awards are directly to the student. So
Right.
we write the check and it goes to the student, and it's not one of those situations where you have to go through the college and then
Right.
whatever, or the
High school.
institution
Yep.
that they're choosing for post-secondary. A lot of these kids go into the trades, or they go into a two-year associate's degree program. But whatever, we don't write it to the institution, we write it to the individual, and that way whatever grants they might get, they're not reduced because they've gotten aid from us. So
Right.
it's a terrific program, and we do actually hear back from students who have been past awardees and the successes they've had and how grateful they were for that work. So
Really?
yeah.
Good.
So back to the race. We topped out just before the pandemic. We topped out at about 400 runners, and I think you remember quite well because you were helping us with the parking that day.
Exactly.
And we're a little bit limited that way in terms of how many people can race because we don't have as much parking as we'd need if we had more than 400. So
Right.
we're in a situation where we're very grateful to some bus companies
Yep.
that, you know, M&J is more than willing to help with a shuttle if we reach a point where it's kind of a tipping point. We
Right.
need to have a shuttle from, say, the middle school in Old Saybrook down to the point. But so far, we're on track to recover a lot of what that enthusiasm was before the pandemic forced us to shut it down. We did do one year as a virtual race where people logged in their miles.
Yep.
And awards were still given, and they were very gracious in their donations.
Right.
But that's not the real thing. So
No.
now that we're back to it
Absolutely.
for a second year, we look forward to seeing a lot more.
Now, as
more
far
folks.
as you mentioned sponsors
Yeah.
before. Who do we got?
Oh, there's so many, Pete. Lee Company. I'm going to leave people out. So,
All right.
You know, there
Too many to
are a
mention.
lot of them, and some of them are in-kind sponsors
Gotcha.
that do. Cohen's do the bagels,
Yep.
and the gentleman you know, Cosmo, does
Yep.
the for promotions,
Yeah.
for promo, provides the hats.
Yep.
So a lot of the
It's
things.
probably all on the website.
Yeah,
Okay.
all those things are on the website in terms of who the sponsors are, who we hope you'll patronize because of their
Absolutely.
generosity, and it's a very substantial number of folks.
Okay.
And the beauty of that is
Yes.
it's over and above what we charge the $25 for the runners. So the sponsor money is really gravy in terms of being able to sustain the race and have a good solid foundation for what kind of money we're able to raise. So that's a critical component.
Yeah.
And the in-kind stuff is really appreciated because it's, you know,
Right.
from Stop and Shop, they'll donate things,
Right.
whether it's water or fruit or whatever. So,
Yeah.
because the runners typically, you want to make the experience as good as you can. So,
Absolutely.
So we provide, in addition to water stops along the way, at the end of the race, runners like to recharge with, you know, with some carbs like the bagels, and then there's the bananas and other
Yeah.
fresh fruit and that kind of thing that people enjoy, so that they feel like they were
Right.
taken care of, that they had a worthwhile experience, and that their money was well spent, and that they had a nice afternoon. We've also been pretty successful with a couple of local coaches, primarily field hockey coaches,
Yeah.
who have brought their teams to race as part of their preseason activities, and it's kind of right on the cusp of the season, as
Right.
August 27th is pretty close. The practice has already begun,
Yeah.
and it's pretty close to the beginning of the school year.
That's
So
right.
it works out great for that. And we've had track teams in the past, and usually it's Westbrook, Old Saybrook, and Valley. So
Okay.
those nice support from the 5 towns,
Yeah.
really.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's very good. And anybody out there watching who's involved with local athletic teams who would like to get involved with this, it's posted on there that you can go to runnersignup.com, the Saybrook Point race, and we do a reduced price for students, so it's not the full 25.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
So that works out well.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the Exchange Club as a whole.
Okay. So we're made up of individuals from pretty diverse career backgrounds in the two towns. We actually have some folks who are from other towns also, but most of us are from Old Saybrook and Westbrook.
Yeah.
The club has been united as two clubs since the early 90s, but in total it's been around for almost 50 years. So we're part of the National Exchange Club, which focuses on the prevention of child abuse, and we do activities that are meant to promote various causes in town or in the towns, or to help with certain kinds of quality of life things that we think we could help enhance. For example, the flags on Main Street are provided by the Exchange Club in Old Saybrook, and a lot of folks don't realize that we as a club maintain those flags and fly them pretty much from Memorial Day till Labor Day, and then again on either Columbus Day or Veterans Day. So that's one of our activities. Another one is flag distribution at the Memorial Day Parade in Old Saybrook, where we give out several thousand each year, anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 little flags for kids to wave, and of course adults like to take them too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have that activity. That's a national program called Give a Kid a Flag to Wave. So we do that too, and that's an important component of our celebration of America kind of approach, and it's received very well by folks, and we want to expand. For about 4 years we gave out flags at the Westbrook Muster, and I think we're going to revisit that. We'd like to do that activity also, and just before the parade comes down the street, that we'd be able to do that too. We have enough members from Westbrook now, so if we had to rely totally on Westbrook members, we'd be able to pull that off.
Nice.
So those are a couple of our activities. We also have two programs that are pretty important to us. One is called the Salute to Connecticut's Finest, which is honoring a police officer each year. Westbrook doesn't have a full-time force, but Old Saybrook has been the chief beneficiary of that for a long time now, and that's a terrific opportunity because the state organization, the District of Connecticut, puts on a huge celebration at AquaTurf every year, and all of the clubs that have honored police officers in their communities, they come, they bring their honorees with them and their families, and it's a huge celebration with there's a big speaker, usually from either national or someone who is fairly significant in law enforcement in the state, anything from the Attorney General to the Commissioner of Public Safety. All kinds of folks have been involved in that. So that's a big one. And in tandem with that, that's in the spring, and in the fall, we do a salute to Connecticut's bravest, and that's for firefighters and first responders. And that's a very similar program, only this one we honor both Old Saybrook and Westbrook firefighters. And there is a program at the AquaTurf for them also in October. So it's really nice to be able to recognize these folks and to let them know that they're appreciated, and that sometimes it kind of goes by and people don't think about it much, but they're very appreciative, and we make a very big deal out of it.
Nice. Jim, would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Happy to do that.
We'll be right back.
Better Business Bureau is warning consumers about a used car scam. The scammer pretends to be a woman who's lost her husband, and it says she's trying to get rid of his car. The scammer claims they'll put your money in escrow for 5 days, so if you don't like the car, you can get your money back. But BBB's investigation has uncovered that the escrow or logistics firm the scammer is using isn't legit. Many of these websites lead back to a virtual office in Hartford. Never wire funds for an online purchase, and always make sure you can see the car in person before you buy.
You matter.
You matter.
You matter.
And your words matter too.
Your words matter.
What you say in the hallways at school or in the student section at a game matters.
Words can be hurtful.
Words can be offensive.
Words can leave scars.
Words can also inspire.
Support and uplift.
You and your words.
Are they both important?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Jim Crawford from the old Saybrook Westbrook Exchange Club. Sir,
Yep.
Welcome back, buddy.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
Good.
All right, so we were talking about the
Programs. We do.
programs,
Yeah.
the Exchange Club. Where do you want to start?
Well, you know,
the
I
segment?
want to emphasize that the club does a lot of things that are done kind of quietly and behind the scenes, and a lot of folks don't know about us. That's probably something we ought to pay more attention to and
Sure.
try to get the word out more.
Yeah.
There is a pond up on Bochum Road and 154 called the Exchange Club Pond.
I saw it this weekend.
Yeah, and it turns out to be a wonderful skating venue in the winter.
Really?
And that was a project of ours many years ago, and in cooperation with Public Works, we do a little work up there every year, try to maintain the property and keep it for a nice place in the winter with a couple of picnic tables. People can have an outdoor fire there, like a fire pit, and when the weather's cold enough, it doesn't seem like it's cold enough a lot anymore, but when the weather's cold enough, it's a great great skating spot because it's not that deep.
Oh no!
And the danger there is lessened, so you don't have to worry too much about thin ice and kids and going to edges and So it's a terrific little resource that's in town, and you know, it says Exchange Club Pond. It's got a little logo.
I saw the logo.
And most people will do well, really, what's that? What do you exchange?
Exactly.
But it's not. Obviously, it's something we could probably promote more. But we're proud of that as a physical feature in Old Saybrook. And you know, in the schools, I should point out that there are. In both towns, there are schools that have freedom shrines, which are wall-mounted documents, facsimile documents of importance in American history.
Okay.
So everything from the Declaration of Independence to the signing of the surrender on the Missouri in World War II, a whole range of 25 or 30 documents attractively displayed on walls in the schools, and as a former history teacher, it provides a teaching moment. I mean, you can actually bring kids on a field trip.
Yeah.
Walk down to that and look at those, and there are lessons that can be learned from that. There's a big push now in education to use primary documents, primary source documents, which means the real thing. Like. Anne Frank's diary is a primary source document. It's not somebody writing about Anne Frank.
Right.
It's Anne Frank.
It's her.
You know, Lincoln's letters and commentary on the Constitutional Convention. Those things are all primary source documents.
Right.
All of these things that are on the walls in these schools are primary source documents and have the potential to be used for that kind of activity if a teacher chooses to, but it's also a reminder of, you know, the American experiment and all the things that go along with it, and how things have evolved from the earliest days of the country when women weren't included, and people of color weren't included, Native Americans were. So it's it's kind of a living display for that kind of use. So we're proud to be able to do that. And when, after these things are there for a while and they need updating, they need to be replaced, we're more than happy to do that.
Nice.
We go out and we do that. So that's another activity we're involved in. We also have honored people in the community who do tremendously generous things or provide incredible public service. And we call that the Book of Golden Deeds. And that's where we single out people who have gone over and beyond what would be expected. Sometimes they're actually members of the club, but more, we've had some people who did unbelievable things. I mean, you remember Al Winkler. Al was a dynamo of incredible energy who really sustained the club and was a guiding force in the melding of Westbrook and Old Saybrook.
Yeah.
And for years he was the man who, as a Dartmouth graduate, went to both high schools and presented the Dartmouth Book Award to a junior.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he was terrific. As a matter of fact, we honor Al by calling it the Al Winkler Memorial ACE Award. So that's the full name for that award we give out because of the service that he rendered. Another example is Bruce Greenfield, who
I remember Bruce.
Bruce was a very active member of our organization and retired now, but he was president of the district, Connecticut district, along with Cliff Gunnery, who many people remember owning the food center in Westbrook.
That's right.
But we also honored, for example, Bob Hale, the retired Westbrook High School principal, who came every year to those ACE Award meetings and was a great fan of Al's and always highlighted that on his calendar. And that's a big deal because in June, there is nobody in the world more busy than a school principal because of because of all the things that are going on.
Because of what's going on.
Bob always wanted to know when that award was coming up, and we were happy to be able to do that for him. Brian O'Connor, who was a longtime assistant principal in
Young Brian.
Old Saybrook.
Older Brian,
not Brian the younger.
Exactly.
Right. And Brian had a tremendous, the Old Saybrook community, he's like the mayor of Old Saybrook. He walks down the street. Can't go into the supermarket without everybody recognizing who he is. So he was another awardee.
How's he?
He's doing very well.
Is he good?
Doing very well.
Good.
One of my favorites.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Other than you. One of my favorites was when we awarded Chris and Nick Revenikas at the Cordial Shop with that honor because
I was going to say, I know that name.
Because they have been unbelievably supportive of our annual wine tasting, which we now call the Bourbon Brew and a Little Wine Too event, which we hold annually at the Elks in late May.
That's right.
And
which Rock Martel was on with me for.
That's right. And they've been just incredible, and they provide support by getting all the sponsors and all the vendors, and really we just kind of work hard to get people there, and they do the rest.
They do everything else.
Yeah, we were really grateful to them, and they were thrilled to get the award. And if you go in there, right behind the counter, it's mounted up there. Right
oh, is it? I haven't been in a while.
Mounted right up there. That they were recipients.
I'll have to stop in.
Yeah, we also have done a program, and probably will again soon, with something called Proudly We Hail, where we identify people who consistently display the American flag daily. Okay. Some people actually who display the flag with a floodlight on it, which you're supposed to do if you're going to keep it overnight. And that's an award that a lot of folks are pleased to get because they're making the gesture. They want to. It's not just businesses, it's individuals too. So a good friend, Ed Binder in Westbrook, won that award one year.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was very surprised and very grateful.
There you go.
We do a lot of those kind of programs.
That's
and
okay. You got to get out in the community and give back.
It's important to do that, and we're always looking for new blood.
Yeah.
And for a variety of reasons. One, it keeps us fresh. Two, it allows us to do more. And new ideas, new outreach. We've been pretty successful in the last year or two, and we've gotten about half a dozen new, very committed members, and we're a small club, about 20 to 25.
Wow.
Not everybody is involved in everything, but we have folks who pick and choose.
Right.
And when they do that, they can devote their full energy to a particular project.
Absolutely.
And that's great.
Before we say goodnight, we got about 30 seconds left. Website one more time if people want information. Where are they going?
Runnersignup.com, Saybrook Point 5K, and we are really focusing on a terrific event, August 27th. Be there at 8:30, and the fun begins.
Jim Crawford from the Exchange Club.
Good
Thanks,
talking to you, fella.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll see you.
You got it.
Night.
On behalf of Jim Crawford, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next week.